Marina had always been drawn to old, abandoned places, not out of morbid fascination, but because she believed they held stories nobody had told yet. On a damp autumn evening, she arrived at the remote manor perched on a hill outside the little village of Raven's Hollow. The moon was a thin crescent in the sky, and a thick fog curled around the gnarled trees that surrounded the estate. The manor had once been the home of the Vaelbridge family, wealthy and respected, but the tragic fire that consumed half the building decades ago left it deserted and whispered about in the village. She pushed open the heavy oak door, its hinges groaning as though protesting her intrusion. Inside, the air was stale and cold, and shards of broken glass crunched beneath her boots. Marina's flashlight beam cut through the darkness, illuminating torn wallpaper and charred beams. She felt a tremor of excitement. This was exactly the kind of place she came looking for. Wandering through the ruins, she discovered a small study. A desk lay overturned, papers scattered like autumn leaves, and a heavy leather-bound book lay open on the floor as though someone had fled mid-use. She hesitated, then picked it up. The pages bore cryptic symbols and a scrawled note. "The shadow knows what the flame forgets." Her heart skipped. She had expected ghost stories, but this was something more. She heard a faint whisper behind her. She spun around, nothing but the fireplace blackened with ash, its hearth cold. She shook her head. She told herself it was the wind. She turned her attention back to the book, then noticed footprints in the ash on the fireplace hearth. The footprints were bare, small, and led to a door she hadn't noticed before, partially hidden behind a tapestry. With a growing sense of unease, she followed the footprints. The door creaked open to reveal a narrow staircase descending into darkness. She felt the cold air rushing up from below, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and something metallic. Marina hesitated, but her curiosity propelled her downward. The steps ended in a cavernous cellar, stone-walled, with flickering shadows cast by a single failing bulb swinging from a wire. In the center of the room stood a tall mirror, cracked and dusty, framed in black iron. Something about the mirror made her skin prickle. She approached it slowly and gazed into its surface. At first, she saw only her reflection, pale, wide-eyed. Then the bulb flickered and the image changed. Behind her reflection, the silhouette of a tall figure loomed, its head bent back, limbs elongated, and dark wings stretched wide. Marina's breath caught in her throat. She spun around, nothing. The light stabilized and the figure was gone from the mirror, but her eyes were fixed on a patch of mold-covered wall behind her. There, for a moment, she saw a shape turning away into the darkness. She blinked and it vanished. Her heart hammered. She backed away from the mirror, but her foot hit something on the floor. A delicate locket, opening to reveal a miniature portrait of a young woman in a Victorian gown, her eyes haunted. Suddenly the bulb failed and the cellar plunged into darkness. Marina's flashlight flickered. She frantically aimed it around the room, and froze when she saw the figure standing behind her reflection in the mirror once more, clearer this time. Eyes glowing red, wings folded like a mantle, skin as pale as ash. The figure spoke, not in words but in a low, rasping voice inside her head. "You saw. Now you belong." Marina dropped the flashlight. She stifled a scream as the figure stepped out of the mirror's surface, emerging into the cellar. Its wings unfolded, stretching to the stone walls. She felt the air constrict, the bulb burst, plunging them into total darkness. In the pitch black, she heard her own scream echoing, then silence. When the light returned, just the flashlight's flicker, she was alone. The figure was gone. The mirror stood intact. The locket lay beside it. She didn't feel relief. She felt bound. Marina scrambled to the stairs, emerging back into the manor's abandoned hallways. She fled through broken windows, past charred doors, her heart pounding as though the shadow of that being still followed her. Outside, the fog had grown thicker, the trees whispering in the wind. The village lights flickered below. She drove away, never looking back. At home, late that night, she reviewed the photo she had taken of the mirror on her phone. In the image, the cracked mirror reflected her, but also behind her in perfect clarity was the dark figure, its wings draped like a cloak. She gasped. She wiped the image, but the figure remained. And on the back of the locket, which she still wore around her neck, were the words, "Watch the flame. Fear the shadow." She knew then that she had not done something simply reckless. She had awakened something ancient and boundless. And though no one else could see it, the shadow would follow her. In the nights that followed, she heard whispers in the corners of her room. The candle she lit flickered though the room was still. The mirror in her hallway reflected a dark shape even though nothing stood behind it. She realized the being had found a way out of that mirror's prison and into her world. Every time she glanced at the locket, she felt its cold weight and heard that voice in her head, reminding her, "You saw. Now you belong." Marina stopped looking outward for ghost stories. She understood now the stories were inside the shadows we carry, and some shadows never leave. She put the locket on the dresser by the mirror, but didn't remove it. Instead, she left it there, face down. And each night, in the flickering candlelight, she watched the mirror. She watched for the wings. She watched for the figure. And she waited, because she knew the devil's shadow does not rest, and neither would she.